Hello, fellow pickers and stuff lovers. It's been a little while, just cause busy life things. I know it's the same for you. And we thought we would take a little time just to visit and show you some of the fun things we got lately. I hope picking has been good for you. Over here, we're still getting snow and ice and all sorts of things like that, so no garage sales in sight, but there's been maybe one estate sale, and we have been taking the time during this time while sourcing is not obvious to visit different thrift stores, different venues, and finding out that we find some good surprises when we just try different places. So I hope it's the same for you. I encourage you to go out there and try a new place sometimes when sourcing is a little scarce, and I hope we can motivate you, or we can inspire you, and just give you some ideas, or just have a fun look at our finds. So lately, when we went to the thrift store, this is a thrift store we usually go to, but I was surprised to find that sometimes you can still find antiques or really good quality things hidden amongst the Tim Hortons mugs, that sort of thing. And this was very cheap. It was only $1, but I suspect that this is 19th century. And it has a beautiful kind of satiny finish. It sort of looks like what is known as Burmese glass to me a little bit. From what I know, Burmese glass was produced around that time, 1885, and around that time in the United States. And it has a certain, why I'm not sure is that usually it has a certain yellow component to it, because there was like a gold tincture as part of the glass. And I don't find that here, but the feel of the glass is very much like Burmese glass. At any rate, it's older. It has a nice kind of handkerchief effect. For $1, I'll see who is interested in that and what I can find out about it. At a regular thrift store that we go to, something a little different. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes when I sell one thing, I'm on fire to get something like that. For example, I sold a mug that I didn't think I would sell because I thought, well, you know, yeah, maybe, but it was, you know, I probably sold it for $15 and I didn't really expect it. So I thought, yes, mugs are a good idea. I should continue doing that. And next time we went to the thrift store, they had moved some of the mugs, and I think they're kind of in a place where people don't look for them as much. Anyways, we found a few interesting ones, one of which was this, and they're 50 cents. I think this is a thing. I think this is a particular maker of mugs, designers. This is the mark underneath. I will have to do some research because I can't remember who this is. If any of you should know, please leave a comment, because that will help. But I thought, you know, it's humorous and it's fun. Sometimes 3D mugs, people will go more for that. That's a little different. We went to an estate sale, and these have done really well for us. These coffee percolators, especially when they have the glass inserts that are required to make the coffee. Sometimes you can part out. This is one of those rare things that will part out, because sometimes we've gotten the carafe that only had this or only that. you know, and so we would be like, well, we'll try and part out what we have, and it sells well, sometimes like maybe 10 or 15 for this or that. The carafe will be, you know, maybe 20. If you've got the whole thing together, it makes okay money. Pretty consistently, which is great, because sometimes you'll get something, sorry about that, and you know how it is, it'll do okay once or twice and then you can't shift them. This is pretty consistent. So anyways, we went to this estate sale, and we never know, because the estate sales are not necessarily advertised as run by this person. We get there, and of course, it's this estate sale runner that we're not too thrilled with, because their prices are pretty outrageous. They don't do a lot of dealings. They don't bargain much. It gets complicated. It feels uncomfortable. You know, I really don't mind. People can put the prices they want on things, but it's nice at least when you go up to them and they don't treat you like an idiot because you're trying to get a little money off, or, you know, that it doesn't feel hostile. Like this person thinks you're trying to rip them off, or, you know, when clearly, I mean, their prices are higher than what you find online type of thing. So it's just reasonable that someone would make an offer good-naturedly. We never want to be pushy because it's just really unpleasant, you know, but, you know, sometimes you'll offer something. This was kind of fun because it was at the back of a cabinet inside a plastic bag. So we thought, this is something they didn't spend too long measuring and looking at and deciding that it's worth $100. So when we brought it up to the table to pay and said, how much? We had this and a Pyrex measuring cup, a big old glass one. And they said $20 for the two. And cheekily, I just said, 10? And he was like, couldn't start saying, well, it's just one at, oh, okay, 10. I was over the moon. $5 basically for this is definitely a price we would pay, $5 to $10 just for that. So I was really happy about that, but it just shows that sometimes you can just good-naturedly offer a price, and if that works, that works. And you never know, even the tough ones crack once in a while. It gives you a break. We went to this new, well, I guess it's been there for a while, but we never really realized that this was a little flea market place, a little secondhand shop, really, that this person runs Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. It's out of the way a bit. It's about maybe a half hour from where we live, but we thought, well, there's no flea market or estate sales, so why don't we go find out what they have to offer. It's just one room, but it was chock full of smalls, and that's heaven for us. We didn't find the Holy Grail, but we found a few bits and pieces, very reasonable prices. This was $5. It's working perfectly well. Sony Walkman, Sony in particular, and especially if you have some sort of color happening, and they can do okay. I can't remember exactly, maybe 30, maybe 35, you know, a little more, a little less for $5. That's kind of a sure sell. So it's a good place to discover once in a while when we're not too busy and we want to go. It's a good place to discover and go back to. One thing I wanted to show you, just because it's fun to share. This is what we bring to many estate sales we go to, known as the basket. Did you bring the basket? Is the basket in the car? We'll need the basket. Just because sometimes at an estate sale, you don't want people touching your pile and starting to get into the 4 things you have on the end of a table. And this thing is collapsible. I can go in there and say, Do you mind if I use a basket? It's collapsible. They can see that I don't have anything inside there. It usually doesn't bother anybody. You know, if they don't want to, that's fine. I'll leave it in the car. But we always get comments on this. Where did you get that basket? That basket is so nice. It's pretty nice because it's handy. It's resistant. You can fit a lot in. And you know, sometimes it really saved me from having going back and forth to the car or whatever. So, and that was only like $2 at a garage sale. So that was awesome. Just a little look at one of the flea markets we went to this winter. There was this beautiful box sitting there amongst other interesting boxes. What the stall holder had done was fill each box with a few pieces of jewelry, and they said, you know, $2 or $3 for each box. The box itself I find very interesting. It sounds like this is an important address. This is perhaps a jeweler's address or a perfumer's address. I don't know what number 6 is. I did a little research. I couldn't find anything, but I'll do more research. This is what she had in there. I thought I might be able to do something with this. This is missing a stone. I believe the stone is here, so I'll be able to glue it back. It's not got any age to it. I can really tell that these beads are plastic, so, you know, and there's no real detail to it, so it's just mass manufactured for fun. This is vintage. You can tell the clarity of the gems. Pretty good quality. It's not signed, and unfortunately it is broken, but I thought for the price I can either try to solder it or sell it like that in a lot of jewelry. Some people will also buy jewelry that's not completely whole, that's missing a few stones. I have sold brooches where I declared that they're missing 2 stones, whatever the thing, and I still sell them for, let's say, $20. This was interesting because you have the brooch and the earrings. And that's nice. It's signed Continental. The only thing is, I don't know if this was meant to go around or not, like this circle around the gems. I don't know if this was supposed to close or not. So that's where I am with that. It's okay. It's $3. We will find out more about it. One thing that we decided to do was to go to this sale. This antique store was having a sale. And when I saw this, I thought, I just have to have that for sale. It's a bell box. Some of you may realize that this is what this is, where you would ring up either your help, your servants, or a particular department. This looks like it was in a business of some kind. You would ring up whatever department you wanted, and the number would appear like this. It's department number 3 you've rung up. So that would show up on the board, and the person in that department would go, ah, someone's ringing us, department number 3. So I thought, a good piece of social history. It's telling of a time where things were done differently, and how were they done? How did this affect people? I love that it catches my imagination, and I try and better understand or imagine what life was like for those people. And I think other people feel the same. That's why they want a piece like that. We only paid $30 for it. I thought that was pretty good. I've seen some of those pieces go for a few hundreds, some of them less, but I thought at $30 we're pretty safe to make at least a little profit on it, and not something we find every day. Pièce de résistance is coming up, and although I don't have all of the information I'd like about it, We went to this little thrift store that is not far from where we live at all. It's in the same town. We don't usually go to it because it's only open sometimes, and we're usually busy during those times. But we went to it this weekend and, well, first of all, found this little trinket, little lamp, flame-shaped bulb, nice bit of vintage stuff, probably alabaster base, and that was only $1. I think even people collecting Christmas stuff, Christmas vintage things will like the little candle. And then I bent down and saw this on a shelf. And I thought, oh, this has a lot of detail to it. It looks to me like it's a cold painted, either bronze or probably spelter. Cold painted being the method that is used when you've got your item fired and then you paint it afterwards. I guess to ensure that there's as much detail as possible to it and it's painted the way you want, hand painted, very detailed. Unfortunately, a lot of the color has rubbed off, but it's still a very nicely made piece. It's signed Austria on the underneath, and we're dating it to, you know, anywhere between 1890 to 1915, something like that. We've seen some pieces by Bergman, which look very much in that style. It's going to be hard to attribute, I believe, because there's nothing else. It's not signed anything particular. There were some Bergman pieces not signed, so could still be just marked Austria. It might be something else, but by another foundry who did very detailed work. It's got everything going for it. You know, there's the camel, the elaborately garbed people. There's even a scantily clad woman on this camel, which seems to suggest things that are not very tasteful, perhaps, but you know, this is what was represented at the time. I love the detail of that, the palm tree. And of course it's a lamp. I paid $20 for it, taking a chance on it because it really looked like this is a true antique. This is part of another era, style-wise and subject matter-wise. And I'm really glad I did, because I think that it may be a thing that turns out well for us. How well, I really don't know. But it's going to be fun to find out more about it, and to just have in our possession for a little bit something that we can study and appreciate. You know, it was really a style that was representative of what was interesting back then, and we were thrilled that this was just at this little tiny thrift store where there isn't that much most of the time, but it just shows that sometimes you just gotta keep going back and there's going to be something of interest. That's it for now. We hope to be back soon. We do always want to share with you and have a good deal to share, so it'll be fun to do this again really soon. Until then, I hope you have lots of fun picking and enjoying your finds.